Welcome to Holistic Accountant Podcast, where we aim to showcase how adopting a holistic approach in accounting and tax maximizes value for clients. Beyond traditional tasks like preparing financial statements and tax returns, a holistic accountant focuses on offering advice that maximizes personal wealth on an after-tax basis. If you enjoy this episode, please consider leaving a rating and sharing it with those who might also benefit. And to ensure you stay updated, subscribe to our weekly email. The link is in the show notes. Okay, today me and I would like to talk about what value accountants can provide. And I know it sounds like a pretty contrived topic, a couple of accountants just talking themselves up about, what they do at work. And I hope none of our podcast topics come across in that way, by the way. But really, I was reflecting a few days ago on professional services. So whether that's an accountant, a financial advisor, a lawyer, an insurance advisor, people that you are looking to get professional advice. The reality is that in day-to-day or even from year to year, you want someone that's going to be very good at their business, and that will deliver some value, of course. But there will be maybe a handful of opportunities over your lifetime that gives you the opportunity to really capture and enhance value. And these things won't happen every year, of course, and you might go through a whole decade and they don't occur. But that's really when you need great advisors in your corner looking for these opportunities, identifying these opportunities. So that's what I want to talk about is, standing back, taking our accountant hats off, but knowing what we know, where do we think the value is? And we think it's sort of in two areas.
So I'll talk about the things that accountants typically do and ones that they should be doing in addition to compliance requirements and so forth. So the accountants should be doing things that save you money or reduce the risk of certain operations. So, of course, they'll make sure that everything's up to date. Your tax returns are being filed on time, your BASs are being filed on time, your payments are up to date and so forth. But an accountant should also be helping you within the business understand and use technology to your betterment. And from my perspective and in my experience, this is a two-way street. An accountant won't know any pain points you're facing without you actually relaying them to them. Now, you might think it's not an accounting issue, being a tech-based or software-based issue, but given that we're across so many industries and we've helped so many clients, we've come across obviously a lot of useful tools and systems out there that can help a lot of our clients. But unfortunately, unless the pain points are actually discussed with your accountant, they're not going to be able to provide any actual insight. So they'll ensure that you're basically getting more time back in your day and becoming more compliant. They'll also look through your accounts to ensure you don't flag an audit. Now, obviously an audit can happen at random. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've done something wrong or something's been lodged incorrectly. But there are certain indicators that accountants should be across that would know if can flag a particular audit. Now, the ATO lists every year there's certain sort of criteria or targeted industries or topics each year. And they'll list this on their website, so it's actually publicly available. For an accountant that's not across this or they're not regularly monitoring this, then it could flag a review quite easily. Now, they'll also ensure certain legal compliance and business management perspectives. So, for example, if you're coming to sell part of your business or enter into a JV or similar, they'll work with a solicitor to ensure that you've got the right shareholder or unit holder agreements in place, that you've got the right life insurance policies to buy out any agreements if necessary and so forth. And then they'll obviously provide you with the financial insights. And I'm a big advocate that an accountant shouldn't just be preparing financial reports and tax returns and giving you those as just, a compliance matter. But they should actually be going in depth with you. And like I mentioned before, the relationship is a two-way street. There's a lot of clients out there that understand their figures and that don't want to get too in depth with it. But there's a lot of business owners out there that are too afraid to ask the questions. And from my perspective, you should be asking every question just so you can get more familiar with your business and get insights as to what you can do to improve your overall operations.
So there's some of the things that Mena just spoken about that are a necessity, a regular necessity that a good holistic accountant will practice. But the thing is, from a client's perspective, you might start to think, oh, hang on, this is exactly what you did last year. Once you've made sure everything is up to date, the technology is right, the returns and financial statements are put together so that they suit the banks and so they don't flag an audit, and you get some financial insights, you might find from year to year not much is really changing. But to my point, there's value in making sure those things are done properly. And also, if there's no major financial insights, if everything is going really well and it's very similar to last year, that also gives you confidence that you're not missing anything. But apart from that regular stuff, as I said, I reckon there's less than 5 events that typically happen throughout someone's life that can give rise to opportunities to create a lot of value. And it's really important that your holistic accountant is looking out for those opportunities. Now, that could be a change in law or regulation that impacts your industry, a change in your circumstances, for example. You might go through a marital separation, or you might have a large inheritance, or these sorts of things, or even a new business, whether you're expanding your business and service lines, or whether you go and buy a new business or start a new business from scratch. These are the sorts of things that I'm talking about, and the accountant needs to have kind of a big picture mindset so that they're just really thinking about you as a group, and ultimately, again, as we talk about a lot in this podcast, what are the things that we can do to help you achieve your financial and lifestyle goals, which really go back to, build financial security, build your asset base, and build your passive income profile so that, if the business blows up one day, you can afford to live a very comfortable life. And the reality is that if you capture these opportunities, they could literally pay for your accounting fees for the next decade, right? So it's not, sometimes these things occur and they're really big ticket items, but if you don't have the right people on your team, you're not going to be able to find them. And I guess the analogy is like having a GP that's sort of at the top of their game. And, thankfully, I'm almost never sick and rarely need to go to the GP other than a checkup. But I know that, I've got confidence that my GP knows what they're talking about, got plenty of experience. Now, that gives me a sense of comfort to know that if something arises, I've got the right person in my team. The accountant is very much the same way. If there's something, an opportunity to restructure or an opportunity to capture some tax benefits, that a great accountant is always going to find them.
So on that, just an example we did recently for a client who's nearing retirement. He was basically nearing also, or limiting, or coming up to limit his ability to obtain what the small business CGT concessions, basically the 6 million net asset test. And his current structure also didn't allow for him to get the 50% CGT discount when he came to sell his business. So what we proactively done is actually sold his shares from his personal name into a trust so that when he comes to sell it, he not only receives the 50% CGT discount, which mind you is almost $1 million, but we also got him access to small business CGT concessions because in a couple of years' time when he came to sell, he would have breached that $6 million cap. So by doing so, we've essentially saved him almost $2 million of tax by doing this restructure.
And they're the big ticket items that we're sort of talking about. Now, they're not going to happen with every client, as I said, every year, but that's the example of, making sure you have the right advisors on your team. And we're not just talking about accountants here, that lawyers are the same. A great mortgage broker can help you save money. Of course, a great financial planner will help you save and make money as well. And one of my mentors always says that good professional advice is always cheap. And the reason he says it's always cheap is the value that good professional advice provides should always be many times the cost of that advice. So we thought it was worth just sort of sharing those insights. Again, I know, or we acknowledge that, of course, we're going to think accountants are great, but really a bit of an insider's view to kind of how we see it sort of playing out for our clients, that there's a whole bunch of things that just need to be done well each and every year. And then maybe every decade there's going to be this big ticket item or big idea that hopefully can save money. But ultimately, the combination of that value really means that good quality advice is cheap. Okay, we'll leave it there, and until next week, bye for now.